when you look at the rest of the room, there is one guy that I think if you go off of his high school film, you could say, there's a guy that did that a lot at the high school level. That's Connor Cox out of South Carolina. And, he didn't play much at South Carolina, really played sparingly. But I do think that this was a case of a guy who was early in his career. I mean, just one catch for 9 yards. It was a touchdown. But this is a guy that I think now is in a system that's going to allow him to play a little bit more. And, you look at him, I mean, he brings some physicality as a run blocker. Some of the signs are there, but I definitely think he is more of the receiving tight end. So if you're looking at him and saying that this is a guy that you're expecting to really be the focus in the passing game, allow Jake Johnson to continue to improve as a blocker, and that's really where he ends up shining, well, then this is going to be the guy that I think has to step up at the position and really take a step forward this year. I think this is the guy based off of what we've seen. He was here in the spring. The other guys that are going to be factoring in here at the tight end position were not. I think this is probably the guy that is next in line and probably is the best bet to be that second tight end for Carolina this year.
Yeah, and if you remember, there was, I think, some pretty good excitement around him coming to Carolina. And there was some South Carolina people that were kind of upset that, he left the program and went to go play for Bill Belichick. I think he was the first guy that I kind of identified of the revamp in the new look room and say he might be a guy that is really poised to take the next step just from what, from his body type with the kind of the way that he plays. He feels like the guy that is poised to really take a step forward and be a difference maker for Carolina. Trying to figure out what production looks like. It's really kind of hard to gauge that. And it's going to be really hard to gauge that for this room until we really find out how pivotal of a role the tight end will play in the offense. But I do think he's the best candidate on the roster, as you mentioned, to where if they're looking to keep Jake Johnson as a primary blocking tight end, which is something that I don't know if I necessarily agree with, but right. Who am I to argue? But if that's the role that they want to use him as, and they're trying to develop a pass-catching tight end, I do think Connor Cox is the guy best poised to be that. It's just really hard to kind of gauge, what would you consider quality production out of that position as of this moment. So I'm trying to think back, because I watched all of Belichick's presser from Saturday. I don't remember if there was a question that was specifically asked about the tight end. If he gets behind the microphone again, I'd like to hear a question or two asked because, this is a room that there's just a lot of unknown. And I'd like to maybe know if Connor Cox is maybe a guy that when we show up to that season opener against TCU, I can maybe expect him to make a big play or two in the passing game.